I want to take a few seconds at the beginning of this video to tell you about our other channel, The History of Weapons. That link is below. Talking to a good friend of mine from the YouTube channel, Neil's Homestead, about just the way the world is going, and we both, as well as the whole world, as we talked, we realized that, we all know we're entering into a new season, the whole world. I don't care if you're an atheist, Democrat, Republican, you live in Asia, you live in Australia, you live in Canada, I don't care, the whole world knows. I don't think anybody will argue that we have entered into a new season. But the conversation we're having was really about, it feels very manipulated. It feels like somebody's in charge. Somebody's pulling some strings, because it can't just be that all these things are a coincidence, and I believe I have the answer. But before I tell you who I believe is pulling the strings, I want to talk a little bit about history, because as we look at what is taking place in our world, we've seen these things take place before. So just bear with me, because I think at the end of this, you're going to agree, this is who is in charge. Bear with me. King Cyrus was the very first king of Persia, the kingdom of Persia. He established the kingdom of Persia. There was an empire there before, but he was the first one to say, you know what, now this is the Persian Empire, and I'm the first king of the Persian Empire. And understanding how he rose to power is very, very significant, and that's for a different video. But he was king of Persia from 559 to 530. During that time, he conquered Babylon, while the Jews or the Israelites were in captivity in Babylon. They were in captivity when Persia conquered Babylon, and we see these events. Like Daniel was literally there the night that the Babylonians rolled into town. And this was a very famous part of the Bible where there was the writing on the wall. The current king of Babylon was partying with with all his friends and wives and concubines, and he said, hey, bring in the vessels of God and we'll all get hammered on them and party. And then there was a writing on the wall and he couldn't read it, and Daniel showed up and interpreted it. It says this, and this is the inscription that was written, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Pharsin. This is the interpretation of each word. Mene, God has numbered your kingdom and finished it. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Peres, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then Belshazzar gave the command and clothed Daniel with purple and put a chain of gold around his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. But that very night, Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain, and Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Now, Darius was the cousin of, or the nephew of King Cyrus. And after King Cyrus gave up his leadership, he did conquer Babylon. He entered into Babylon. On October 12th of 540, King Cyrus conquers Babylon. And you have to be very careful with what you read here, where it says Darius the Mede received the kingdom being about 62 years old, because he did not receive the kingdom. And that word being about was, he lived to be about 62 years old, and he lived to be 64. But he received the kingdom only 7 short years after Cyrus, because his sons didn't do so well. And then Darius became Darius the Great, and he became the king of Persia, became the king of Media, the king of Lydia, the king of Babylon, and the Pharaoh of Egypt. So now if you go to what Zechariah was going through, when Zechariah enters the scene, Zechariah was one of the first Jews released by the Persians, because once the Persians captured Babylon, Cyrus was well known to allow territories and empires that he conquered to continue with their religious practices. He didn't force them into a religion. So he really wanted the Jews to be able to go sustain their old lifestyle. So he freed them, and they went back to Israel. And now Zechariah is one of those Israelites about to kind of build the wall around Jerusalem and see what is going on here. And it says this in 1 verse 7. On the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Shabbat, in the 2nd year of Darius, the word of the Lord came to Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet. So this is 18 years after the Persians conquered Babylon. I saw by night, and behold, a man riding on a red horse, and it stood among the myrtle trees in the hollow, and behind him were horses, red, sorrel, and white. Then I said, My Lord, what are these? So the angel who talked with me said to me, I will show you what they are. And the man who stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, These are the ones whom the Lord has sent to walk to and fro throughout the earth. So they answered the angel of the Lord, who stood among the myrtle trees, and said, We have walked to and fro throughout the earth, and behold, all the earth is resting quietly. It was the horsemen. All of this, from King Cyrus, how King Cyrus came to power, how King Cyrus ended, how he conquered, how Darius takes over, how Darius conquers. All of this, all of it, not some of it, all of it was manipulated by the horsemen. The exact same horsemen that are in Revelation. They walk to and fro throughout the earth, and they manipulate all of this. It is not a coincidence that we've gone through a pandemic. Very strange change in leadership of the world that is continuing. And now we're looking at World War III. This is not a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. And don't give the credit to people. Don't give it to like some sort of organization is running it all, or some sort of, or Trump's down in Mar-a-Lago manipulating on. No, don't give a person credit of this. It is the horsemen that are manipulating this. They are pulling all of the strings, because if you look at how King Cyrus, and I will make a video on that, how he came to power, it's exactly the same as what we're watching America go through right now. This is the same white horseman. If we look at Revelation, now I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him. And he went out conquering and to conquer. This is what's taking place in the world, ladies and gentlemen. This first seal has been broken, and we're watching it. This new season is the coming of God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And you know what the message is? Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, Come and see, and another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that people should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. You have to see it. It's not. Don't give the credit to man. God is in charge. His horsemen are in charge. They work for God. They are literal spiritual warriors. This spiritual war that's taking place around us is more real than we are. It's very real, and you have to wake up and stare at it. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature saying, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. And do not harm the oil and the wine. People, it's coming. Hard times. Famine is coming. You have to see it. And then following that is the pale horse, the green horse, and followed by death. People, wake up. Don't give the credit to some sort of mystery society or some sort of religious group or some sort of post-president or this guy over there is pulling the strings. It is the dragon with a third of the angels battling against Michael and angels, and the horsemen are manipulating all of it. Who is pulling the strings? The horsemen are pulling the strings. Do not give this credit to people, ladies and gentlemen. It is the horsemen who are doing it. And if you take a little time and you study out, just Google real quick, how did King Cyrus come to power? I think you're going to find yourself going, oh my God, that is literally what we're staring at right now. They worked the same way then as they do now. And Zechariah proves to us that it was the horsemen who manipulated everything. The rise of King Cyrus, the conqueror of Babylon, the rise of King Darius the Great. All of this manipulated by the horsemen. Not some of it, all of it. So who's pulling the strings? The horsemen of the apocalypse are pulling the strings. Wake up. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Put it below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel to Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. So don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and I love guns.